Hi, y'all. Sorry I'm late. I changed it up last minute and asked Luke to join us because I had to be honest and realize that the topic that I chose is out of my wheelhouse. It's been over 35, maybe more years since I was in the normie-ish situation where I could, you know, just say, nah, I don't think I'm going to drink tonight. So, yeah, that was a long time ago, quite a few sleeps ago. So, Luke's in there having a meal, so he won't be hungry to do this. And I just thought I'd read from this book that I've just found called Why Don't You Drink Alcohol by Sienna Green. And I'm going to have a drink of water. And the day 6 beverage of choice is another ready, but it's the blueberry lemonade kind. You need to reschedule? We can, Carol. I want you to do whatever is easiest for you. Well, we're here now, hopefully. Hopefully we're here. Something about that hydration is good stuff. I'm going to put my actual journal here and keep my notes journal on the shows here. Yes, I am a little disorganized. I do apologize. I don't know why. It's one of those days where I'm having a little trouble stringing sentences together. I missed a couple of days on my medication, and it kind of messed me up a little bit. So I'm having to kind of get back to where I was heading when I ran out of medicine and did not get to town because I was being obsessive about doing all this stuff and getting the stream stuff going. And anyway, blah, 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 blah. I am here. And that's about all I can say, but it's what there is. Now, why is read now? Here we go. Will you let me read now? Thank you so much. So I'm going to start with the intro. And Sienna writes, oh, by the way, can you hear me okay? Give me a 5x5 maybe. Send me an angel. Anyway, I'll be looking for a 5x5. If you can't hear me, let me know. We'll do a XYZ if you can't hear me or see me. And I'm going to put that blind down. It's been cloudy all day, so it's been hard to gauge the lighting. So yeah, I'm all over the place today, but you know, that's where I'm at. And this ain't show business, it's sobriety. And there are going to be days like this. We're all going to have them. And this is one of mine, and maybe one of many. Who can say? Okay, good. Thank you, Candy. And Sienna says here in the introduction, I'm not qualified to write this book. Not in the traditional sense, anyway. I'm not a doctor. I'm deeply interested in human psychology and what makes us who we are, but at best, I'm an armchair psychologist. I'm not an academic either. I apparently have a theater degree, but I was too busy writing my full-blown journey off the rails to attend the graduation ceremony. She says, really? What I do have is a decade of humiliation, horror stories, and hangovers. I was an alcoholic from the moment I picked up my first drink. Wow. That's intense. Moderation was never even a possibility. From that first vodka cruiser when I was around 18, I was a habitual binge drinker. It was so unconscious, so automatic, as though I never even thought I had a choice in how I consumed. We're conditioned from childhood to look forward to being able to drink. Alcohol is the elixir of adult life. It's romance, parties, sporting events, and great times with friends. It's a rowdy round of beers with your best friends at the pub, a popped champagne bottle to celebrate an engagement, or a glass of red wine at an elegant candlelit dinner table. It's sugary cocktails with miniature umbrellas by the pool on vacation. It's American movies with people playing beer pong and guzzling out of red cups. These images are indelible to us. They're also, for the most part, a horrible lie. Alcohol wreaks havoc on your body and mind. Alcohol abuse is a common, debilitating chronic condition. If you're reading this, I assume you are newly sober curious, or just looking for reminders as to why you gave it all up in the first place. Perhaps you wish to quit drinking temporarily just to see how you feel. Maybe you want to support a friend, partner, or relative in their sobriety. Perhaps you've hit your idea of rock bottom. I hit about 20 of those before I finally said enough was enough. And you need some encouragement and motivation for the journey ahead. Admitting that alcohol has become a problem for you, or even that you suspect your life would be better without it, can be immensely challenging, especially on a Friday night. Just saying. You're probably surrounded by people who drink, and some of them may be threatened by you quitting. They'll give you shit. They'll buy drinks on your behalf and mock you mercilessly until you cave in. You'll realize you're never too old to be relentlessly peer pressured. This book exists for your mental fortification. Within these pages, I will lay out 101 reasons why you should stop drinking alcohol. We will get to the Karen bit later. Or if you've already quit, why you should stick with it. It's not going to take all 101 reasons to convince you, I'm sure of that. Some of these facts are brutal and confronting. Some of them will shock you. I was certainly floored many times by what I learned throughout my research. As a non-academic, non-doctor, total layman, I couldn't believe everything I hadn't been told about alcohol. Isn't that the truth? I'm not advocating prohibition here, but shit. This stuff does so many terrible things to your body, brain, relationships, career prospects, family, and basically every aspect of life you can think of. We might have heard vague warnings about carcinogens, but there are vague warnings about carcinogens on pretty much everything, right? I mean, we've all just kind of accepted that modern life is slowly or rapidly, depending on where you live, poisoning us all, haven't we? So why not chug down a little of the poison that at least makes us feel good in the moment and helps us forget about it all? I get it. I feel like a drink right now, thinking of the vast horrors of the world. And it's 9:35 a.m. and I've been sober for 7 years. But after you read these facts, you will want to protect yourself. You will understand that imbibing something that is so across the board awful for you is not worth it for the temporary buzz, the brief, illusory feeling that comes right at the beginning of the night. Before, if you're anything like me, you either descend into the depths of your buried despair or have horrible sex with someone you will be gravely repulsed by in the harsh light of the morning sun. No comment. Drinking culture is a beast. I'm an Australian. I get it. We get pissed. We get blotto. We get cunted, a personal favorite. We get inexplicably maggot. When the personal demons that caused me to drink so hard and fast intersected with a culture that actively encouraged overconsumption, you get the decade that was my 20s. So that's what brings me here. From my first drink around 18 to my final drink on my 29th birthday, I was addicted to binge drinking. Again, it wasn't like there was one particular event or incident that made me realize I had to stop. I'd had so many things happen in my decade of drinking that should have been the end. that perhaps would have been the end for someone more reasonable. It was the accumulation, the weight of those 10 years of daylight shame and the understanding somewhere in the blocked out recesses of my mind that it was not the life I was supposed to be living, that this couldn't be it, that something had gone very wrong. In sobriety, I have gained insight from years of trying to figure out how to give myself the self-love and self-esteem I never got from a healthy home life. I spent years facing all that I was trying to block out with the binging behavior. And I have seen through a facade of the alcohol companies who try to convince us through their insidious advertising and marketing campaigns that life is better when alcohol is at the center of it. It isn't. I can say with no falsity that I love being sober. I love not waking up with a parched mouth and a beam of sunlight boring directly into my eyes with those few confused moments of not knowing where I am, quickly giving way to a dawning horror as I remember the humiliating things I said or did. I love not spending the entire next day in bed with a screaming headache, interrupting my groaning and feeling sorry for myself, only to go to the bathroom and attempt to retch up whatever's left in my stomach. Ugh. I love not finally rousing myself at 6 p.m. when my nausea has passed and then treating myself to a maca's binge, whatever that is, to commemorate another wasted day. I love that I can go to a friend's birthday celebration, completely control my faculties, and remain lucid and self-aware. I love to have conversations that I can actually remember. And I love that I can leave when people start getting sloppy and close talking and be cuddled up safely in my bed by 11 p.m. I can wake up the following morning feeling optimistic, have my first cup of coffee while reading or journaling, take a long hike, clean my apartment, and still have time and energy left in the day. I'm fully lucid and present for every moment of my life. I'm a participant. I can't imagine wanting to feel any other way. Of course, I didn't feel this way immediately. It took some time to love being sober. Stripped of the thing I always used to hide behind, that I always buried my insecurities in, I flew headlong into all the anxieties I had been covering up. I could no longer hide. I had no crutch in social situations. I had to face the idea that I might hate myself, or that at the very least, I didn't really know how to like myself. The truth was, I had no idea who I was. When I was growing up, I loved reading and was thrilled whenever a school assignment involved writing. I didn't have a problem making friends. I felt confident and certain of my position as a valuable part of the world. I've heard that a lot of young girls feel this way before the various horrors of puberty descend and they become hyper aware of how people see them. And whether people think they're pretty or chubby or their clothes are cool enough, the feeling of self-love and being sure of your place in the world doesn't often survive that onslaught unless you have a strong support system. And in the parlance of my country, nah, I didn't have that. My mother had always been prone to extreme emotional swings and fits of rage, and her mental condition began to deteriorate further in the years following her divorce from my father when I was about 4. He remarried and found happiness with a very sweet woman, and my mother's anger at him for not just sticking around to endure her tantrums grew yearly. I was too young to remember when her abuse towards my brother and me began, but it intensified in the years following the divorce. She wouldn't just scold us for our childish mistakes. She would scream and scream until her voice was strained, her vicious tirades sometimes going on for hours. She would push us against walls and slap our faces over minor mistakes. She said cruel and insulting things to us, and sometimes a smile would creep over her face as she did so. I mean, the word sadist seems a lot when describing one's mother, but I'm not sure what else to call an adult woman who smiles while hurting a child's feelings. She mocked us when we cried. Oh, man. And if we ever dared say anything in response to her haranguing, even just to try to explain ourselves, she'd accuse us of attacking her. Incidentally, anyone who disagreed with her was accused of attacking her. She told strangers and acquaintances how proud she was of her family, and then, as soon as the front door closed, she became our tormentor. She took credit for any tiny victory we had, be it an academic award or a compliment from an outsider on our manners. But any small mistake we made was because we were inherently stupid, useless, and pathetic, 3 of her favorite words. Damn. Although I was usually in the gifted classes in primary school, I had become utterly numb about my studies in by high school. I withdrew socially. I mainly lived in my head, where I concocted elaborate fantasies about being someone talented, world famous, and adored. Despite my palpable shyness, I dreamed of being an actress. And after I'd managed to finish high school, I was accepted into a theater program at a university. This was completely unexpected, as I thought I'd done terribly in the audition. Uh-oh, lost my place. That's why I like real books. I have this one on order, by the way. Come on, give me back my book. Thank you. As I thought I'd done terribly in the audition. Perhaps they saw something beneath my insecurity that they thought could be channeled into a character. But I was never able to break through. Yeah, come on in. Come on in.
I like knocking past the point of needing to.
This is my son, Luke, y'all.
Oh, I almost died. Okay. Hi.
He had neck surgery not quite a month ago.
Yeah, it was 15th
Yeah.
of September.
Hi, you guys. Hi, Christy. Hi, Lemmy. Hi, Candy again. So I'll just finish this paragraph and then we'll start talking.
Okay.
I was never able to break through. I'd been taught to suppress my emotions by my mother. Stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about was her favorite and highly unoriginal expression. I started drinking heavily during the 3-year program. I lived in a shabby house with 4 classmates, working in a discount store part-time to barely afford my share of the rent and making important daily decisions like whether to spend my last $5 on coffee, a loaf of bread, or a cheap bottle of wine. The booze usually came out victorious. Self was the only thing victorious. No one thought I was a young Meryl Streep, but I made it through the course with a whimper, thinking more about the after party of our final performance than the industry professionals who'd come to watch and assess us. As a final insult to my ambitions, I blew off the graduation ceremony. So this is 100 reasons to stop drinking. 101 reasons to stop drinking.
I was about to ask.
And
who by?
Her name is Sienna Green.
Sienna Green. Okay.
And she's Australian. And she 101. Why don't you drink alcohol? 101 reasons to stop drinking. Like a woman called Karen, and why sobriety is the key to unleashing your best self.
Mm.
So yeah, this is the introduction where she's just kind of telling her backstory on where she got to needing sobriety.
Okay.
But I kind of wanted to get since it's Sober October, and there could be people out there who are sober curious. I kind of wanted to get a semi-normie's perspective on what that would be like, especially being, in your early 30s, and just the whole dynamics of the socials and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking that is kind of a weird it's a social cultural thing of like it's weirder not to drink than to drink.
That's right.
That's first of all, and it of course depends on the situation. Like if you're at Sunday school, probably not as weird as like say at a show.
Yeah.
No, I don't know why those are my first two examples I could think of, but yeah, it's just kind of the expected thing to do, which I mean, it makes sense. You know, it lowers inhibitions. You know, it's like, oh, I don't want to talk to that girl. Well, maybe now I do. Okay, yeah, but so, and of course, money. You know, bars got to make rent to continue to be a gathering place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's well, obviously because of this, the whole healing stuff. It's not really something I've been able to explore that much yet.
What's that?
Well, just like being a sober person around, you know,
Yeah.
in those environments.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to say the last time I had a drink was June or July. I want to say late
Wow.
June.
Okay.
Yeah, just because it's lost its luster. You know, it's like
Yeah.
you know, the price of admission is just not worth the couple hours of, you know, feeling of being not sober. You know,
Yeah.
because now my hangovers are lasting 2 days.
Yeah.
If I'm like drinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I was at a show. It was at it was a Smoking Barrel, and a friend of mine was like, "You want a beer?" And I was like, yes, I do. Just something cheap. Don't break the bank." Yeah, and even that one drink, I was feeling it the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So just that, and not being in full control of your faculties, isn't nearly as appealing anymore.
Mm-hmm. And you know, you've always been very careful about not drinking and driving, and so having to make those arrangements to be somewhere where you didn't have to drive home, and
right, yeah, especially since I'm now literally living in a shack in the woods. You know, it's a drive from town, so
yeah. So, have you noticed any benefits since stopping?
Well, saving money.
Yeah.
And also, well, I think what it is too. I think some of it is age. Like, life hasn't necessarily got more fun per se, but it's just I'm able to deal with stuff better.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just more myself, more secure in who I am. You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
So I don't feel the need to, you know.
That is so much better than the temporary confidence you get from drinking.
Yeah.
Because that's something that you can build on.
Right. Yeah. And and it does feel like I'm kind of just off the foundations of all of that to some degree.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it's like, oh, I'm feeling sad or lonely or all that, and instead of like, and there is, it's not that need or want rather to cover it with something, usually alcohol, isn't there. It's just I'm able to deal with even that desire more. It's like you know, I'll probably feel different tomorrow, and this is a feeling, and all feelings to some degree are temporary. You know,
that's right.
Like it'll pass.
Yeah. So when you first started going through that process, besides the price of admission, what process did you go through to get there, to get to where you could say no?
That's a good question. Yeah, a lot of it does come down to just the risk reward factor of it. You know, because yeah, again, just, you know, knowing that you know, if I have this today, it'll ruin my whole tomorrow. You know, like I'll probably be, if I have my choice, I'll be laid up in bed and not wanting to even glance outside.
Well, you know, you have to plan not drinking. You do. I mean, you do. You have to make, it has to be a pseudo plan in a way. Or do you not think so?
I don't know. Well, yes. Yeah, well, I will say, like, when it's when it's in a social environment, definitely, because
Mm-hmm.
you're out with your friends going from bar to bar, or you're at a show or whatever. It's and when it's right there, you kind of have to go into it saying, I don't feel like drinking tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so that definitely. But yeah, as far as like just maybe grabbing a 6-pack at the store or something, that to me feels more just like or even hitting up a liquor store on the way home from work or something.
Mm-hmm.
That feels more just, I guess, an exercise in I guess willpower, just saying no to that urge,
Yeah.
and it gets easier over time.
Yeah.
Um, when you're making a habit of
Whew.
not making a habit of that, I guess.
You are so lucky that you're doing that when you can,
Hmm.
before you get to that point, because if you've come to a point of such dependency on it, it can be dangerous to quit.
Yeah.
I think I did tell you, but Mom went through DTs when she came out of heart
Right.
surgery at age 82, and I don't
Yeah.
know how she lived. I don't know how she got,
Huh.
because it can kill you. But would you say that you were on your way to becoming dependent, or you were just have you always been pretty much I can take it or leave it, or
I don't know. I want to say no. Um, and yeah, it's a pretty good way to put it. It's always felt take it or leave it.
yeah,
But for all I know, I could have been that close to being more dependent on it. I just,
yeah. The way it worked with me, and so the genetic likelihood with me, it was kind of a game of Russian roulette.
Mm.
You've got so many chambers, and eventually, if you just keep firing, that bullet's gonna hit. That bullet's gonna be there, and it's gonna hit, and the bullet hit. And I was just thinking of a snake that bites. It's like you can handle that snake 100 times, and then that 101 time you get the bite and you die,
Yeah.
and it's over. And I used to tell myself that I didn't have a problem because I would go sometimes 2 or 3 days without drinking.
Mhm.
And so I could tell myself that I didn't have a problem.
Right.
But, I was miserable, and, and I thought about it. I kept thinking about it, and, yeah. So yeah, I'm going to take a look at the chat and see if there's anything I need to. Baby steps. I have identified the batteries are dead, so I am working on something right now. So I don't know what that is. An acceptance, not whatever it put there. I should cook my phone. Whoa. Okay, so I missed some stuff.
For nutrients, or
I don't know. Full capacity. Oh, it's going by now. I can't. That was my point. Oh, okay. Here we go. My snake bit me. I accidentally squeezed his head while taking a drink. His head was in my elbow grease. Oh my God. I'm taking it. It was a non-poisonous. Nothing happened. I missed a lot, you guys. I'm going to have to go back and read the chat. Do y'all have any questions for Luke, the normie among us?
I resent that label. No, it's fine.
Yeah, that's what Alcoholics Anonymous coined, is the term for people who can just decide that they don't want to drink.
Really?
Oh, really? How nice for you.
I thought that came from Reddit or something.
Oh no, that's been around long before Reddit.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'll be damned.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, then yeah, that fits.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification, Candy. Any questions for Luke? Anybody got a question for a normie? Now's your big chance. Can you hear us both okay? Usually takes a little bit for the answers to come up.
Yeah.
I want to thank y'all for being here. It's nice to have people. It's so much nicer to have people. That I know I'm talking to people, not just a little hole in the laptop top. How long are you in your brace? Lemmy wants to know.
Until the doctor says out of it, I guess.
When do you see him next?
So that'll be the 13th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've thought about like sending a message to the app to see because they said that a lot of times you're clear to drive by the 2-week mark.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that would mean brace comes off with that too or not.
Do you feel society markets drinking to your age bracket, Luke?
Yeah. Yes and no. I don't know. I don't know if I know that market would be the word I would use.
Okay.
Because like I never it's never felt like a media thing of college age to I guess 30-ish. It never felt like that was hammered home.
Okay.
Like from a media and from a marketing point of view.
Yeah, and media and marketing to your age group is different anyway.
Yeah.
You guys aren't watching network TV at all, hardly, and
nah.
And you're mostly on social media.
Yeah, and I mean you probably can't advertise alcohol and stuff like that.
I don't know that I've ever seen a social media ad.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't either, so it makes me think.
Which, thank goodness, there's some controls on that.
Yeah. So marketed, probably not, but there has definitely been an air of like this is what you do, like when you're out and about.
Yeah. This is what adulting is.
Yeah, and there's never been explicit peer pressure for the most part, but there's an implicit peer pressure of like, oh, everyone else is drinking, what?
Yeah.
Like, it's Friday, why the hell not, kind of thing.
Right.
Plus, if that's what you want to do to begin with, in that situation, then everyone else is, then what's stopping you?
Yeah. I just had a thought. I know that there are, edibles and things like that for cannabis and things like that, cannabinoids.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, do they do that stuff in a drink at all, or would it do anything? Or
I'm sure they can.
I wonder if that would be enough of a feel good thing in a social drinking situation, if it is a thing.
Maybe. I mean, I have heard of making a tea out of like all your stems when you get to that point.
Okay.
So I mean, I see no reason why it couldn't be done.
Right.
And I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. It's illegal to advertise before a certain time, but it's all over sports games here in Australia.
Yeah, that is about the only place I see, beer adverts or whatever. It's it's like during football games and I guess like along the field or whatever, wherever there's a space, sometimes you'll see like Miller Lite, Nike, and then Bud Light. But that's about the only place I really, really notice it.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the occasional, network commercial, which it seems to be less common nowadays.
Okay. What about you, Chris? Do you have any questions for a normie who just decided, I don't think I need this?
Yeah.
He probably stopped at a good point, I'm gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if I've stopped per se.
Yeah.
But it's like yeah, like you said, I don't, it's not something I need.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not.
It's not
Or
your
even,
regular thing.
Yeah,
And it
or
was
even
kind
really
of,
want anymore.
yeah. And it was a fairly regular thing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, at least bi-monthly, it seems like.
Yeah.
Was a give or take.
Yeah.
Or actually, that is a confusing thing. It's like bi-monthly. That could mean every 2 months or twice a month, but twice a month,
Right
bi-monthly.
on. Yeah. Yeah. And it sometimes less, sometimes more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Really just depended on the situation. Have you ever tried mixing booze and your music?
Like for
Like, was there ever a thing where alcohol was part of your process?
No, because at a certain point I couldn't play.
Okay.
Yeah. It just, or I just was like, oh, well, because a lot of times when I drink, I just get tired.
Okay.
But no, there was never it was like, oh, this fuels me. Like, it's always been a case of, whether it was alcohol or weed, it was there. It always dulled more than sharpened.
Okay.
And it never opened up any other door to like, oh, there's this, like, oh, I'm writing this cool stuff with. No, there was never any of that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's substances have kind of served to be more of an energy zapper than giver.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes what you want.
Yeah.
Maybe not what you need, but.
I wouldn't think that it would be the bulk of what you would need in that process, though.
Right.
Well, that's good, because I mean, the way you love doing your music, you don't have to figure out how to not interweave that as part of your creative process. That's good.
Yeah, I can't imagine that.
Yeah, that could be problematic. Very wise and mindful about drinking, Candy says. Oh, okay, bi-monthly. Yeah. Well, I personally am very thankful that you're not. I mean, I was in rehab by 28.
Oh.
Yeah. Sure was.
Man, yeah, and that's weird to think about, well, because I'm definitely at the age where like I'm past certain milestones that like you, or like, people my parents' age have experienced.
Yeah.
So when they talk about, stuff like that, I'm like, I mean, and sure, that wasn't that long ago, but it's like,
well, yeah, it was a long time ago. That's why.
Well, me being 20.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
But no, you're good. But yeah, that's just.
It's wild to think about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exact words.
I mean, it's wild for me to think about, but in the opposite direction.
Right.
It's hard to even believe that I ever was 28. 50, being 58 now.
That's 30 years.
Yeah, I'll have 30 years in February.
Well, hell yeah.
February 21st.
21st.
Mm-hmm.
And even that's not far off. Man, time needs to stop timing.
Yeah.
So it's too fast. It
does. What's your main instrument? Ben wants to know.
Ooh, main? Probably guitar. But no, but sometimes bass is even more fun than guitar.
Yeah.
And like when I'm writing on either, like the goal isn't different, but the approach, like what comes out when I start coming up with something on bass, can be different than guitar. And
yeah. And an approach to a song can be completely different if you start out on the bass.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It tends to be a lot more groove oriented.
Yeah.
The stuff that starts with bass.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever started anything with drums. That usually comes afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't tool around enough with piano to really have that.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't have one, which I'm sure having one would help with that. But yeah, probably guitar. It's the one I've been with the longest. The one I'm probably most comfortable with at this point.
So you mostly play guitar, bass, and drums?
More or less, yeah.
Okay. Did you get very far with saxophone?
Yeah, well, it's funny. I was just thinking about this today. I would say yes, but it never really registered because you know it was junior high band stuff, and I've always maintained when you have a sax in a marching band context, it just basically becomes another trumpet.
Yeah.
You know, because it's such a expressive, often solo instrument that like it almost doesn't feel like it belongs there.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know at the time, but yeah, I mean, I could read music, and same with piano, which is weird because it's almost like I didn't allow myself to absorb reading music out of spite, just because I didn't enjoy piano lessons.
Yeah.
So, at all. So
yeah.
So it's weird. It's like I could stare at the notes and all of a sudden like I'm playing, but it never internalized, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Because I'm like, this isn't fun. I'm not playing anything I want to. So
carry on. I have something that I'd like to bring into the meeting.
Okay. Carry on. And what was it? Let's talk about reading music, but yeah, which is almost a shame because not that you have to read music to be able to play, but it's a useful thing, useful skill. But yeah, I'm definitely one of those. It's like, man, I just play. Like I barely know what scales are. I do not know what key I'm in. Barely familiar with time signatures, but it's just I make it work for me. Like I'm more or less self-taught on everything because I think that's just how I learn. You know, I gotta do it. I gotta figure things out for myself and not necessarily be closed off from like lessons or advice or anything. But I gotta have the right questions to approach someone or well, of course, the internet. It's hell, I say it's self-taught, but guitar was I learned through this site jamplay.com, which I would super recommend if it's still up. It's like $20 a month versus like $50 an hour for private lessons, and they got all kinds of teachers. They'll teach you genre, beginner to advanced, teach you how to learn songs, and I'm willing to bet they've expanded since then. And they had a lot of pretty big names come in and do guest lessons, like I think towards the end of it they had Tosin Abasi on here and there, or towards the end of, like, eventually I was like, you know what, I've got my wings. I think I got this from there, and then discontinuing my membership.
Well, I thought I was going to give you Mom's Yamaha saxophone.
Oh.
But I can't find it at the moment. But what I will do is I will present you with Mom's Selmer.
Just symbolically?
Well, no, so you can play it here.
Oh, here now?
Anytime you want to come and play it here, you can do that.
Okay. Well, sweet.
But I wanted to give you her Yamaha.
Yeah, this thing still baffles me.
Why is that?
Well, just like, well, I don't know if unique is but I mean, just how special of it is, especially like, wasn't this a 54 Selmer, which was about
51 or 2, I think. I'll have to look up the serial number again. But she was told that the neck on that is particularly like rare. I don't know why. I guess they maybe they only did a few of those necks on even this serial number series.
Interesting.
I don't know if she has. Let me see if she's got any new reeds in there.
Yeah, I'm kind of kicking myself. I wish I'd brought, because I bought a mouthpiece so I could tool around with the Yamaha.
She has some new reeds, or newish reeds. No, maybe not. I know she's got some new reeds around here somewhere. I know she does. Is that?
Oops.
This looks like a new one. What do you think? Does it?
New enough, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, my mom was a saxophone player. She was playing up until a week or two before she passed. Playing well, by the way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, yeah, when you're here, feel free. And when I find the Yamaha, it's yours.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Completely yours.
Yeah, and man, I'm still kicking myself for. Well, because I don't know. You never know, but I wanted to take that Yamaha to Sade and get one of the pads fixed for her.
Yeah.
And
you may have to do the same with this one. It needed some work, and I just didn't get it to the guy before she passed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Which, I mean, I don't know if there's not so much a lesson to learn, but as far as just taking that kind of time for granted, because it's not like, not like there's another her that, you can act that lesson learned on, but
yeah.
I don't know, just those pesky would have been, should have beens, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, you can leave your Yamaha where you are, and when you come here, you can.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember her saying, well, she didn't she say she still wants this thing to perform?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what do you mean?
Well, she seemed to, because it seemed like she wanted to leave it to this one, like she met somebody.
No. We misunderstood, because I asked her later. I said, "Did you really want to give that to him?" And no, that wasn't. I don't know what the deal was, but it was different than what it came in her mind than how it came out.
Right. Yeah. Well, because because it definitely seemed like, it's like this is going to him when she passes, but because she wants this thing to, be up and in front of people.
Yeah.
Making
and I
good
get
noises.
that.
Yeah.
But maybe it will be.
Yeah.
Maybe it will be. Isn't it gorgeous though?
It is.
That mother of pearl on there is beautiful.
Yeah.
Prettier than normal.
Yeah, I guess it's been so long since I've even looked at a sax that wasn't this or the Yamaha.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is appealing.
Yeah. And there's some old, beat up dark brass ones in there. I don't know if those could be something that you could do something with, but.
Wait, saxophones?
Mm-hmm.
The ones on that crate by the door?
Yeah.
Oh, so she has 4 then.
Yeah, one of them was one of them, and I don't know which one was the one that she had when she was a kid. I want to say I could have that wrong, but she had the same mouthpiece from the time she was 7 years old up until she moved here, and she dropped it and it shattered.
Oh.
So the mouthpiece that I just handed you, wherever it ended up, I got as close to to the shape and the material as I could get. This was a handmade. A guy for a little while handmade them and sold them on eBay, and I haven't seen him in recent years, so I got it at the right time. But it's even turning that brown color like her original one was. Like around in here, And we're gonna have to find a reed holder thing that fits well. This one, it's okay. Maybe that's something that they can help us with at Syed.
I bet, yeah.
Syed, I don't know how you say it.
I've always heard it Syed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was Mama's saxophone. She and Daddy traveled afar to get it. and Daddy was her biggest fan when he was alive. He'd drive like mad to get her to gigs and sit right under the band so he could hear every nuance of every note she played. And
when did he stop playing?
College.
Huh. Well,
yeah,
that's a shame.
Yeah, it is. And he did only reason he didn't pick it back up was he had a niece living with his parents when he was off at World War II, and she got into all of his stuff.
Well,
in fact, it's the daughter of my Aunt Carol, whom I was named after.
Oh, really?
Huh. I'm named after her and after my grandmother, her Carol's and my dad's mom. She's Annie Louise, and I'm Carol Louise.
Gotcha.
And so he had a saxophone, and she lost it for him somehow, or tore it up, or something.
I guess
she lost it or tore up his stamp collection and all of that stuff.
How'd that go over?
Well, he was still lamenting, but he loved Lynn, so it wasn't quite as hard a blow as the little velveteen shorts during the Depression that he outgrew before he could wear them to school, and she never would let him wear them to school, and he had patches over patches and had to wear his little flight jacket down as low as he could carry it and hold it in place so that his pants wouldn't be like up to his knees because they didn't fit him. And he that was a grievous loss that he continued to mourn into his later years.
Wow.
He was in his 70s when he passed of cancer. So yeah. Anyway, I was wanting to present you with her Yamaha.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So it is yours as soon as we find it.
Okay. That does mean a lot.
Right on. Yeah.
Yes, and especially, I've been saying for years, it's like, man, I want to get back into sax.
Yeah.
But they're just so darn expensive.
Well, they are, unless someone gives you one. That's pretty nice. So yeah, everybody. Well, does anybody have anything that they'd like us to get into as far as a meeting, or is everybody good? Yeah, it is a gorgeous saxophone. It is indeed. She was proud of that.
Yeah.
She had every right to be. And she was good.
Yeah.
She was. She was unique. She had a vibrato that was very unique.
I was about to say, I really have not heard anyone else do quite her thing with that.
Right on. Okay, you guys. Well, what we do at the end of the meetings is we kind of have a moment of silence for the person still suffering, followed by the serenity prayer.
Right.
So yes, let's have a moment of silence for the person that's still suffering out there in their active addiction, and for those that are suffering in trying to get sober, and also for those whom we've loved and lost. And then we'll follow with the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Thanks so much, you guys. I appreciate you being here very much. All right. Well, have a good night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm thinking about doing a 4:40 instead of an 11:40, and we'll see. I'll announce it on the Facebook page. The Facebook page is in the description if you're interested. Cool beans. I like that. Where'd it go? Thank you, Christy. She says thank you both.
Oh, you're welcome.
Mrs. Serenity Prayer. Well, we do it every day here. I appreciate you too, Candy. She says she appreciates Carol and Luke. Okay.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you. Peace.
Have fun. Don't die. Don't do too much illegal.